Gordon. So the registration for the paid classes in September has started. So it's a real simple process. If you're interested, all you need to do is have your parents WhatsApp me, and I will send them all the details, right? Also, just to note that if you're doing economics, POA or POB, that's Miss Crystal. She's a separate teacher from our school. So if you're interested in doing any of her subjects, you just have to contact her, right? Her number is on the screen here. You can contact her at any one of the numbers. All right, but just let your parents know. And if you forget the numbers, not a problem. You just message me and I will send you it. So let's see if we can finally conclude today's transformation questions. Today, every question you are going to see is a past paper question, every single question. You all do not need to write down the questions or draw the questions. You just need to work it out and send your answers. Because if everyone were to draw it out, we'll never leave here today, right? So let's get started. Let's get started. All right, so this is where I think we left off last week, right? All right. So remember that she had shot, how you say, some kind of spell at you. So everyone get started on this question. You have about 2 minutes. It's a very easy question. Don't overthink that. So over here, let me get a pink here. Everyone could agree from reading the question, this is the original shape. This shape here, the L, M, and N, that's the original shape. If you look closely, wait, not too closely, you can see it. This is the y-axis. And obviously, this is the x-axis. It's even written on the question. If this is the original shape, if it was a reflection in the x-axis, won't this shape be reflected quite down here? But the answer is not down here. Look at where the reflection happens. So it cannot be a reflection in the x-axis. Now, some people are guessing and they're just saying it's a reflection in the y-axis. Well, let's see if that is correct as well. If this is the y-axis and this is the mirror and somebody is standing here, won't the reflection be on the other side of the mirror? So if it was a reflection in the y-axis, the answer will end up in this region. But clearly, it's not in this region. So a reflection in the x-axis and a reflection in the y-axis is not the answer. But I'll give you a hint. It is a reflection in another type of line. Right? So Zachary, check it back. You're almost correct. Right? So take one more try again. If the original shape here, I'll put O for original. So that's the original shape. And it gets reflected. It's a reflection, like I said. And here's the image. The other answer, you just call it the image. Should the mirror be directly in between them? And it's going to be a vertical mirror. Look at this pink line here. I'm going to draw it. You'll notice this, if I put the mirror in between both of them, and it's a vertical mirror, do you all agree that that is where the mirror should be now? Even if they got it wrong, try to imagine you standing on this side of this pink mirror. Won't your reflection be on the other side? And you notice the mirror is directly in between. Look, one block here, one block on the other side. Look at N. 2 blocks away from the mirror, and N prime is 2 blocks away from the mirror. What do you call a vertical line going through 7 on the x-axis? Remember, we did this on the very, very first day of class. The name of this line is x is equal to 7. Some people said y equal to 7 by mistake. A vertical line going through 7 on the x-axis His equation is x is equal to 7. So what's the final answer for the examiner? Well, what will you write in the exam? This is what you have to write in the exam. This is a reflection in the line y is equal to 7. Sorry, tell me y. X is equal to 7. All right? For those who got it wrong, do you all understand the mistake now? Right? It's everything here, we did it already. It's just a matter of putting everything we learned in the past 3 weeks or 4 weeks together now. Right? So remember, a pure vertical line is x is equal to something. A pure horizontal line would be y is equal to something. Great. Now, you can't expect too much marks for that in the exam, right? So you just get 2 marks for it, right? Which is not bad, right? So let's take a few seconds. You don't have to take down anything. You're just processing it. For those of you all who guessed the mirror, you use the mirror and it reflects the magic, right? So at least you're safe for the time being, but the witch is still alive. The necromancer is still alive. Here's another question. Read it, send your answer. So this here is the enlargement matrix we're supposed to use. We replace the letter K with 2. All you have to do now is visit each point individually. Visit A, visit B, visit C, and multiply all those points individually, one by one, by the coordinates of A, B, and C. And you'll get the answers for the larger triangle that will look twice as large as the original triangle. Right, so continue from there. Here. Right, so by now everyone should be pros at multiplying the matrices. For this one here, I'm getting 2, 4. When I multiply this by this, I'm getting 8, 4. And this one is 2, 0. Right? So please confirm it on your end. I mean, even if you got it wrong, just check back your working, right? The most common mistake is that people forget when you multiply something by 0, you get 0, right? And believe it or not, that's probably one of the most common mistakes. So let's plot the points. 2, 4. This is A prime. B prime is 8, 4. 8 on the X, 4 on the Y. And C prime, 2, 0. Look, C prime here, 2, 0. So when you connect these points now, look at it, the triangle looks twice as large. And I can prove that. This side is 1, 2, 3. Look at it here now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The sides got twice as long. Right, so work towards the answers. Sometimes you just need to see the answer in order to realize you could have done it, but it's just a minor mistake you made on the way, right? But the point is, once you understand the mistake. So everyone on part 2 now. So at the end of the day, this is what I consider a translation. So let's put that word down. This here is a translation, right? So I'm going to write the word here. A translation. Another word for a translation is a slide. If you all notice, it just slide to a different position. It didn't get reflected, it didn't get bigger. You know, a slide means it keeps the same orientation, but just moves to a different location. Last week when we were doing translations, right? The translations were the easy one. It just has 2 values, one on top and one underneath. The top value was the horizontal movement. And the underneath one was the vertical movement. Right? So horizontal is the X movements and well, vertical is Y movements. But we had a rule. Anytime something moved to the right, it was positive. If it moved to the left, it is negative. If something moves up, it is positive. But if it moves down, it is negative. So we always do the horizontal movements first. So let's see how let's take two similar points, B and B dash, B double dash. How much do we have to move horizontally? 1, 2, 3, 4. And once we are over it, we move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we move 4 this way and 5 downwards. Should this 4 be positive or negative? What do you all think? Look at it here. Positive or negative? Which direction are we moving? 4 to the right. So we said if it's moving to the right, it is positive. Right, so we know the top value is positive 4. You don't have to put the positive sign because if you don't put it, it's understood. But once we are hovering over the point, we have to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This 5 needs to be positive or negative. It is negative. Now I have a question to answer. You notice I chose point B. What would happen? I just asked in the class. If I chose point C, would I get the same answer? What do you all think if I chose point C? The answer is yes, because remember last week, I believe I said it over and over and over. It doesn't matter which point you choose. If you choose B, you're journeying to its broader point, B double dash. If you chose point C, you have to go to C double dash. Let's see if we'll get the same answer. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at it, 4, and then we have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So either way, we get 4 to the right and 5 downwards. And believe me, if you did the same thing for A, you're going to get the same exact answer. So this here is the answer the examiner is looking for, and he told you to call. I know you're probably not familiar with the grammar or the structure of the questions. When you get the answer, the examiner asks you to name it M. So M is equal to 4 minus 5, because he wants the name of the transformation to be named M, right? And you have to put M and the equal sign to get the full marks in the exam. All right, so take a 20 seconds, make sure you process it, and then we're moving on. All right, so Amanda, you understand it now. All right, so let's see what she's up to. Remember, all we did was block the fireball, right, using the mirror. So let's see what's next up her sleeve. Remember, she's a necromancer, so she could raise things from the dead, right? And nothing wrong with a knife. That's a little dog there that she raises from the dead. And you use a knife to take care of that. All right. All right, so let's do this one together quickly. I'm not going to ask you to draw this one. This one is super, super easy, right? Give it a read and start. No, sorry, take one shot at sending the answers for part 1 and part 2. Do not overthink it. There's literally no working to do. Right? Let's just say I have a triangle. This is my own made up question on the right-hand side of the screen. We all know that we can enlarge a shape two ways, right? We can use the matrix or we could do it by drawing. Let's just pretend we want to do this question by drawing. So all enlargements have a center of enlargement. Let me just put the center of enlargement over here. I'm going to put a little dot here, right? And I'm just going to put the letter C for the center of enlargement. If we wanted to enlarge this triangle by a factor of 2, how would we normally do it? We would take our ruler, the examiner will tell us where the center of enlargement is. And we're going to draw a line from here to one side of the triangle, to one corner of the triangle. Let's say that this line was 5 centimeters. I'm standing here now. Would I, to enlarge it by a factor of 2, would I have to enlarge it by 5 again and a next 5, or just 1 5? To enlarge it by a factor of 2, I'm already standing here. Right, I only have to move it one more time. So I have to move it one more time, because if I'm enlarging it by a factor of 2, the first line counts as 1 and the second line counts as 2. And I just have to do this for all the sides. I take my ruler, I move it here, and then I move it one more time. And the same thing over here. Move it here, and then enlarge, move it one more time, right? And when we do this, right, this method, our triangle, look at it, well, it's kind of hard to see the pink there, right? There's a pink triangle there, right? The scale factor enlargement is +2, right? But obviously you don't have to write the positive sign, but I want to explain why it is +2. Yeah, you have to look at the center of enlargement. Are both triangles on the same side of this point? Look at this point. Are both triangles on the same side? I would say the answer is yes. Some people are saying no. If you are standing here, let me say you're standing by this point, this is your head here, and both triangles to the, well, if you stand, I guess that is to the right, and both triangles to the right, Adriana, you understand your mistake? And both triangles to the right. Both of them are on the same side, right? But look at this one now. Now, the examiner said clearly this was an enlargement. And over here is the center of enlargement, okay? Now, we know it's an enlargement of factor 2, right? And we know it has something to do with the number 2 and why. Because look at the corresponding size. This side here is 1, 2, and over here is 1, 2, 3, 4. So we know one side got twice as long. Let's take this side, 1, 2, 3. This side is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I think everyone can agree that the triangle got larger by 2. But the question is, why is it -2? Look at the center of enlargement. Pretend this is U again. Are both triangles on the same side of the center of enlargement? And the answer is no. One is on the right-hand side and one is on the left-hand side. The correct answer for CXC is that the triangles are on opposite side of the center of enlargement. Now, I know some of you are going to ask this question, is there another answer? Because you notice this one is upside down and this one is right side up, right? So you might think that the negative, right, has to do whether it's flipping over or not. I mean, technically it does, right? But I'm letting you know what the correct answer is for CXC. It's not really about the orientation. It's about being on opposite sides of the center of enlargement, right? So let me write out that answer, okay? Right? The scale factor is negative because both triangles are on opposite sides of the center of enlargement. Okay. And this was one of the stranger questions out there. Unfortunately, this question is only worth 2 marks. 1 mark for the piece on top and 1 mark for the piece underneath. All right, so let's see what she's up to. She already, well, what did she do at first? First was a fireball, then it was a zombie dog. Let's see what's next. Oh, what do y'all think we're gonna use here now? Y'all know what a white is? Anybody? For those who read fiction and whatnot, like those fantasy books and whatnot. Do you all know what a white is? WIGHT. No, not Dwight is a white. Right, you all guessed it correct. To fight off the white, we're going to use our garlic. So for those who don't know, superstition says that garlic is good at repelling what? How you say, evil spirits. So I'll show you the next question. And for those of you who don't know what a white is, I'll explain it. All right, so it's one weakness, it's garlic. All right, get started with this question. I think you should, yeah, this one, I think you all should draw it and try it. So this is clearly a slide. So we start in here. O stands for the original shape, and the next one is the image. So we could choose any point when we're doing the slide, the translation. So let's start at S, right? Now, I just choose that point. It seems that we have to go how much? 1, 2, to the right, and then move 1, 2, 3, 4. So we move 2 to the right and 4 downwards. Isn't this a translation? 2 minus 4, because when we go to the right, it is positive, and when we move in downwards, it is negative, right? To be honest, they should not have given you so much space. They should have just given you 1 line to write this. So this is a well, whenever it has 2 numbers, you have to let them know this is a translation. All right? Right? This is whenever it has the 2 values. And since the examiner is giving me 3 marks, I will make sure and draw my lines, because I can only assume for something that simple, he's going to want to see every single piece of working. So they're talking about a reflection in the line x equal to 6. So I think you should probably at least draw that in on your diagram. So what does x equal to 6 look like? Isn't that a vertical line going through 6 on the x-axis? I don't know, I kind of bend this, sorry about that. So that's the mirror, because whenever you hear the word reflection, it has to do something with a mirror. So it's a vertical mirror going through 6 on the x-axis. Right? So now they want you to draw the triangle, well, R double dash, S double dash, which should be real easy. If you're one block away from on this side, then the S is going to be over here. This one is 1, 2, 3, 4. So on the other side of the mirror, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the other one should be pretty easy as well. 1, 2, 3. That's all. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So on the other side, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at that. How much of you all had something like that? Right? Remember how a mirror works. If you're 1 meter on one side, then on the other side, inside the mirror, you just look the same exact distance. 1 meter. So, and the question, when we drew this, they asked us to draw it, so we did. And now they want the coordinates of R double dash. And that looking like 10, 3. So for the people who are 10, 3, you all have it correct, right? So if you got it, if you got everything correct without my help, congrats. Even if you got it wrong, but you tried your best and you made some minor errors, still congrats. All right, so remember the witch used a fireball, she raised a dog from the dead, and she raised a white. So she should be a little bit tired by now, because doing all of that takes a lot of energy. So her guard is down, so you run towards her. And that's you there, looking like you're running. So we'll see what happens next. All right. Right, so this one, don't draw it. This one will take too much time to draw. So let's work this one out together, right? Describe the transformation, right? The transformation. So we're standing, here's the original, and here's the image. I'm just going to ask some questions quick. You're going to tell me yes or no. Is that a reflection in the y-axis? What do you all think? Because that's, if I had asked a lot of people, what do they think that is? The first thing that might jump in their head, it's a reflection in the y-axis. Right? The answer is no, because you notice the orientation kind of changed. If it was a reflection, A would not end up over here. So we know it's not a reflection in the y-axis. And it cannot be a reflection in the x-axis because it will be somewhere down here. It's not an enlargement. The triangle looks about the same size. It just oriented. It's oriented a little bit different. Antonio, right, and Xavier, I think it's a rotation. Now remember, this is a little bit of trial and error in the exam, right? It is a rotation. How do I know it's a rotation? To kind of prove it's a rotation about the origin, you could take 1 point. I'm going to take B, and I'm going to join it to the origin, right? And then I'm going to connect it back to its brother point. And it's looking like how much degrees? 90 degrees. Everyone could agree with that. Look at that. It looks like 90 degrees. So it got rotated which direction? Is that clockwise or anti-clockwise from B to B dash? Right. So the answer is it's a 90 degrees clockwise rotation about the origin. In other words, the origin is the center of rotation. But let's just make sure. Let's take another point. Let's take point A. If I take point A, get no problems here. If I take point A and connect it to the origin, and then I bounce it back to A prime, that green line still looks like how much? 90 degrees. For the exam, this is my advice. Do 2 checks. Just don't do it for one point B. Do it for point A as well. So you check it twice so you feel confident in the exam. The examiner will only require you to do one, but for your peace of mind when you leave the exam, do it twice, right? With 2 separate points. Now, let's see. The translation T maps. Now look at this, huh? You're mapping A dash, B dash, C dash. So that's this triangle over here to the new triangle. And look at the instructions they gave you. They told you that the instructions is what? 4 minus 5. So this time they gave you the translation vector. This means we are going to move it 4 spaces to the right, and the minus 5 means we're going to move it what? 5 spaces downwards. Now, don't get me wrong, right? We can do this physically, right? We can go to this triangle, and for each point, we say we're going to move it 1, 2, 3, 4, and then how much? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So A double dash will move down here. In other words, we're going to each point and moving it 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right, and then moving it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you get C double dash here. And then for point B, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then how much down? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 second, something blocking me here. And we will end up here. To me, that would have been the easiest way to get the answer. So it looked like we moved the whole triangle 4 places to the right and then 5 places downwards. Another way of doing this was just to take each point, like A is how much? A is 1, 4. And we just add the translation vector. And we will get the same answer. 1 plus 4 is 5. 4 minus 5 is minus 1. You notice we get the same answer. 5 minus 1. And we could do that for each point. We could go to point C and add this translation, and then go to point B and add the same translation. And when we calculate the points, we will end up in the same place. The examiner did not say how to acquire your answer, whether you could just do it by physically counting the blocks, or you could use calculations. He didn't say. So in my opinion, any method will give you the same amount of marks in the exam. Which one, I'm just asking, which one would you have preferred to use in the exam? To just physically count the blocks or do the calculations? I'm just asking out of curiosity. Right? So one person said they prefer to count. Joshua, you say that do both. All right. Yeah. I think I would have, because I had such a big diagram, a big graph, I would have just counted, to be honest. That would have been my way to do it in the exam. Okay. All right, so moving on. I wanted us try to finish as much questions I can today, as today is the last math class. So I just want to see how much past paper questions I can go through today with you guys. So let's move on here and let's see what happens to this which here, right? Right. That's a clear one question. What's going to happen when you run towards the witch? Anybody have any predictions? You're going to get into a massive fight. What's going to happen? Hand-to-hand combat? Is she going to beat you up? What do you think is going to happen? Kairis, you say hand-to-hand combat. Kadeem say. All right, let's see what happens here. Oh God, somebody say she husband. Somebody say, you remember she was standing on the side, on the edge of a cliff there. I don't know if you all remember that from the last picture. So you all hit her off the cliff. A fitting ending. Ah, but she says her husband will adventure. And well, she hits the ground, the water there or whatnot. May hear that scream again there. All right. So let's read through this question and then make a decision if we should draw it on. So let's see what we have so far. Remember, P was 2 and 2. So if we multiply by this matrix, I think we're going to get 6 and 6. And Q, we would get, we multiply it by 3. So we get in what? 12, 3. And I told you this one would be 0, 0. How much of y'all could agree with that? You was taking points P and Q and multiplying it by this. And we got 6, 6 and 12, 3. So let me draw that for you all. 6, 6. That's point P. And then 12, 3. Right, so the triangle got 3 times larger. All right. Now the next part of the question is a trick question, right? They said that the original triangle, well, I know it kind of covered up here, but O, P, and Q, it got reflected in the line y is equal to 0. What is the line y equal to 0? Quick question. If I ask you to draw this line, y is equal to 8. Remember the first session that we had? Would the line y equal to 8 be a horizontal line or a vertical line? What do you all think? All right. It would be a horizontal line. If you look back in the notes, right? Y equal to 8 is a horizontal line going through what? 8 on the y-axis. So if I ask you to draw the line, y is equal to 4. Well, not a hard question. Y equal to 4 is a horizontal line going through 4 on the y-axis. So how does the line y equal to 0 look? Well, the line y is equal to 0 is a horizontal line going through 0. But isn't that the same thing as the x-axis? Look at it carefully. Y equal to 0 is a horizontal line going through 0, which is the same thing as the x-axis. Everybody knows what a nickname is, right? I'm sure you have somebody in your village or you have a friend with a nickname, right? The nickname of the x-axis is y is equal to 0. Both of them is the same exact thing. So you know what they're really asking you to do? They're really asking you to reflect this in the x-axis. So I know the examiner could have asked you in such a nice way, hey, reflect the triangle in the x-axis. But he decided to be fancy. And he said y is equal to 0. So knowing that now, you're going to pretend this is your mirror. Do you all think you all can reflect this on the other side here? Count the blocks. 1, 2. On the other side of the mirror, he'll be 1, 2. For Q, 1. So on the other side, he has to be 1. This is touching the mirror. When something is touching the mirror, it will not move. Its coordinates will not change. Think you all can send me the coordinates of P double dash and Q double dash for me? That's after the reflection in the x-axis. Right, so this one should be easy. 1, 2. On the other side, it's 1, 2. All right. So P double dash looking like 2 minus 2. And Q is 1. 1 on this side, 1 on this side. It's going to look something like that, right? P double dash Q double dash. And I'll put any answers here. Here kind of hard for me to write. So these are your answers. And of course, I think they ask you to draw it on the graph, but don't draw it today. You can do that when you're doing the recording. Reviewing the recording, sorry. Take a 10 seconds and let's see. And we'll move on and see what happens with the rest of the story. All right, so in case you all lost track of the story, remember we were trying to figure out who killed Judith. Judith was this ghost over here. So at least you found out who killed her, right? It was the lady's husband. So let's see what Judith tells you now. Maybe she'll tell you thank you. All right. All right, so let's do this question together, right? You don't have to draw it. I know this one's kind of hard to see, right? So the center of rotation looks like the origin, right? Which is 0, 0 mathematically. How much the angle looking like? But I think I gave away that answer. The angle looking like what? 90 degrees. But the question is, if it's clockwise or anti-clockwise, what do you all think? Xavier, correct. Letitia, correct. Right, Gerard, correct. John, correct. And Rajiv, correct. You notice you're starting here this time. So you're rotating it from this line to this line. That's anti-clockwise. Easy, easy 3 marks in the exam there, right? Part 2, right? State 2 geometrical relationships between these 2 triangles. All right. Geometrical means you want 2 things that are similar in the triangles, right? So do you think the size of both of them are the same? What do you all think? Do both triangles have the same size? Yes. So they're asking for 2 geometric relationships. So the first one is both of them have the same size. No triangle is bigger than the other. All right. So you can write that in a sentence. Both in the exam, all you have to say is both triangles have the same exact size, or you could even say both triangles have the same exact area, meaning that no triangle is bigger than the other. But what is another relationship between them? Now, I think the other one was super easy, right? They kind of get, I don't know why they ask you for 2 geometric relationships. The other relationship between the 2 is one has been rotated by 90 degrees, right? That's a relationship. One triangle is just like the other one, except it's been rotated by how much? 90 degrees, which was kind of obvious because part 1 led us to that answer. So to me, they should not have asked for 2. They should have just asked for 1 because the first one was what? Obvious, right? So I think the examiner probably didn't think through that question. Right. Another answer is this, right? Some people might stretch it. They would say that the first one, they would say that the lengths of the triangle are the same. So that is one relationship. And the second one is the areas of both triangles are the same, which could be a second one. Do you all think you all could do the calculation for this one quickly? It's a translation, the easy one. They want the coordinates of L. So you're starting at L. That's this guy here. And if you apply this translation, where will it end up? This is the one where you're moving it to the left or right or up or down. quickly send the answer for that one. Answers come. So we are starting at point L. And according to this translation, the top number is +1. So that means we're moving it to the right. And the underneath number is -2. So that means we're moving it down 2 spaces. So we start in here. We move it 1. Notice that's 1 unit from 1 to 2. So we move it 1 space to the right, and then we have to move it 2 spaces down. 1, 2. We'll end up here by point M. 1 space to the right, 2 spaces down, 2 units down, sorry. So the answer for point L, it ends up by 2, 1. The examiner tried to trick you because he knows that in school, most of the times you would have used 1 block for 1 unit, but this time it's 2 blocks represents 1 unit. Right? So it was easy to get catch with that question. Let's move on. It's a little mistake. Oh, I forgot to. So apparently, I know something blocking the image here, but apparently you're going to head up the hills to find the husband. Right, so sorry about that. And when you head up to the top of the hill, that's the main guy there. That's the main necromancer. So he's not surprised to see you. He probably saw what you did, right? So. He does not look like Johnny Depp. All right. All right, so let's work out this question together. This one here, they want us to find the center of enlargement. Now, clearly one triangle is larger than the other one here. Remember how you would find the center of enlargement? Obviously, this point became this point. So these are 2 similar points. This point became this point, and this point became this point. To get the center of enlargement, you have to kind of backtrack. So you would take the 2 similar points and draw a line and just go straight back. This here, you would connect both of them as well, and you go straight back. Take a ruler, connect these 2 points and go straight back. And if you do, I don't have a ruler, but if you kind of backtrack all the points by connecting them with a ruler, all of them will meet up at 1 point. What's the coordinates of that point? From just looking at it, from our best guess, what's the coordinates of that point? No, you have to call the x coordinate first, so it's x then y. So it's not 5, 1. You can't fall for that trick in the exam, guys. This is 1, 5. The x coordinate is 1, the y coordinate is 5. You're never, ever, ever, ever allowed to call the y coordinate first. So the center of enlargement is 1, 5. That's all they wanted you to do. And of course, you have to show your working in the exam. Well, part B asks us to state the center of enlargement. So after we draw our lines, we write 1, 5. How much is the triangle? By what factor did the triangle get enlarged by? 2, 3, 4, 5? It's really easy. You can just count the amount of blocks. To me, it's 2. Because if over here is 1, 2, and over here is 1, 2, 3, 4, the scale factor is what? 2. This only looks scary here, part C. Determine the value of the area of the first triangle, of the bigger triangle. Here's what they're asking you to do. They want you to find the area of the big triangle and divide it by the area of the small triangle. That's all they want you to do. Do you all remember how to find the area of a triangle? The area of a triangle is base by height divided by 2. Base by vertical height divided by 2. So you all could find the base here. The base here is how much? 1, 2, 3, 4. And the height is how much? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You think you could find the area of the big triangle for me? Base by height divided by 2. And then find the area of the small triangle. And then divide both answers. And you finish. The big triangle, the base is what? 1, 2, 3, 4. The height is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4 by 6 is 24 divided by 2 is 12. For the small triangle, the base is 1, 2. The height is how much? 1, 2, 3. 2 by 3 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. You're going to take the area of the big triangle and divide it by the small triangle. 12 divided by 3 is, ta-da, 4. That's all they wanted. So the question just looked scary, but it was based on Form 1 work, finding the area of 2 triangles and dividing. So I'm going to head on to part D here, right? Right. They want me to draw this triangle here, minus 4 minus. So I would draw this for you. I'm not going to ask you to do it, right? So let me draw it in pink. Minus 4, 4. That is up here, right? That is point E, or point B is minus 1, 4. And the other one is minus 1, positive 2. Look at this now, right? You start, according to E, you're starting at this question. Here's the original and here's the image. What kind of transformation is that? What that looking like? A rotation, a reflection? By now, we should be really good at identifying this. This, right, Amanda, correct. This is a rotation again. Look at this. If we take point M, you see what the 90 degrees is? This one also has a 90 degrees, right? So clearly this point moved to this point. If we connect this, to the origin, and we bounce it back here, it's a 90 degrees. And in which direction? Which direction are looking like, guys? It's a 90 degrees rotation, but you have to state the direction, clockwise or anti-clockwise. Anti-clockwise, right, Caitlin, right, Amanda, right, John, great. And that's the end of that question there, right? Let's see what goes on. So remember, he's a necromancer as well. So he raises an army of his soldiers there to get you. All right, so this was the next question we were supposed to try, but you can try it for homework. This is the solution to it. So. This was the next question we were supposed to do. So now we use the orb, right? Whenever they told us to use the orb, the ghost now, they told us to use the orb when we needed it the most. When you break the orb, a big flash of light appears. You all remember these people? They look familiar. Right, so you throw him off the cliff, and a shark comes out and eats him. Thanks, Kyrie. All right, guys, so that's the end of the story there. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the summer classes, okay? Whether or not you join in September, all the best, right, for the coming term, right? And of course, have a good one, guys. Take care and all the best. No problem, guys. Take care. All right. You too, guys. Take care. Take care. Well, this has been, I don't have the full story in one go.